Bo Nix, more like Bo kicks rocks.
Bro, you guys look like garbage to start the game, so I don't want to hear it.
Man, we gave up.
There was a play where Gino.
We gave up 4 points and safeties, and we still won the game, baby. That's how good our defense is.
there was a play where Gino was like getting ready and he's doing his cadence or whatever, and he like looks over at the tight end, and then he looks at him again, and then he looks at him a third time and like is staring at him pre-snap, and then snaps the ball and it's a quick screen to him, and dude just gets leveled. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing.
Don't want to talk about our offense.
That's what we're doing.
Kenneth Walker got me 19 fantasy points.
Ooh, this man.
Welcome to the house.
To the house.
Episode 6. Yes. If you need homeless or at-risk youth services, you can take it to my house, 300 North Willow Street in downtown Wasilla. Week 1 of the football season is over, and one of these episodes we will talk about something that is not mostly football, but that is not this episode because
no, it is not.
Football's back. I know we said it was back last week, but it's back this week. I got to watch Sunday Night Football with my family last night. I got to watch Jackson Smith and Jigba get me 4 points on my bench, and he was the highest rated Seahawks wideout, I believe, because DK Metcalf had like 2 points or something like that. It was not a
like
good.
The top, the best 3 wide receivers.
Well,
in the league.
I don't want to talk about the Seahawks offense. Guess whose team won this week?
They sure did.
The Seahawks won this week.
But they looked like awful.
Their defense looked really good.
Let's do some.
Oh, you want to start with my team?
No, let's break some other games.
Some scores down. Okay.
What I thought.
We'll end with our teams.
Yeah. What I thought. One of the games that I thought was interesting was the Carolina Saints game, and it wasn't because like.
Alvin Kamara, baby. He's on one of my fantasy teams.
It wasn't because I didn't expect Carolina to like lose the game. What I thought was interesting was I was like watching the game and it was like 30. I think they had scored 30 at that point. And like nobody on Carolina looked surprised. And nobody on Carolina looked upset. Nobody on Carolina looked like this was like a shocker. Like they were just like, yep, all right. And there was dudes, they were down 40 and there was dudes celebrating like a muffed punt. And I was like, there's a dude talking crap to Derek Carr and he was like, dude, I got 3 touchdowns on you.
Oh, the Panthers are going to be bad this year. Bad this year.
Man.
Okay,
and I thought that like I really thought that maybe Bryce Young, new coach, new scheme. Dude, his drop back is so bad. Have you seen it? Like he doesn't drop back. He just takes like 2 steps. It's like the laziest drop back. He steps.
Oh no.
Okay, I'll step forward. Like, I'm not a quarterback guru, but his footwork is non-existent.
Yeah, the Panthers are going to be bad. Derek Carr 3 touchdowns, which is pretty cool. I don't know if that means the Saints are good. That need to see them play another couple games because playing the Panthers, it's kind of like the Seahawks defense. Like I was so impressed. The Broncos were averaging 0 yards after catch. I think at least at some point in the third quarter, I don't know if that stat continued till the rest of the game, but the Seahawks safeties, the Seahawks corners looked so good yesterday, but it's week 1. They might have just been playing a rookie quarterback. Here's another game that was surprising. Did you watch any of Bengals Patriots?
Oh, man.
Pour one out for any poor soul that drafted Joe Burrow as their number 1 QB.
Or Jamar Chase. You know, like Jamar Chase ended up, I think, with 12 points, but when you use a first round draft selection on
who did that?
I did that. I did that because I was like, the big playability is going to be there. I think you've seen, but to lose to the Patriots at home
by 6,
and it's not like they have a get right game next week either. They're playing Kansas City next week, and I think that you've seen what having contract disputes and not time on task and T. Higgins out. Jamar Chase is like playing, but he's not playing because he's limited.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look like he even wants to be there to begin with. So I don't think he's giving like his full effort.
You better have some come to Jesus meetings here because you do not have time to get this season turned around.
I feel like they're trying to get their coach fired or something at this point. Like I don't really get it. I think they'll figure it out. I think that there's going to come a point where it's like, all right, we got to play football or we're going to just lose a bunch of games. And I think that Jamar Chase has shown that he's too much of a competitor to like let that be the case.
Yeah.
But it was really, really bad. Joe Burrow looked awful. That offensive line looked awful.
Yeah.
And to get beat 16-10, I was like absolutely just shocked. One of the games that I thought was really interesting also was Arizona-Buffalo.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray looked in the first half. Kyler Murray looked fantastic.
Yeah.
And you could see like Josh Allen figured it out because he's Josh Allen.
Yeah.
But you could see in the first couple quarters, Josh Allen was missing Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
But they found a way to do it.
They found a way to do it. But so here's my thing is, so Arizona is a team that's like expected to make some noise, but not really be like some crazy team, right? And so when it comes down to like playing those playoff tier teams and you're putting so much on Josh Allen, how many times is he going to be able to just come and be, MVP caliber Josh Allen with a bunch of no-name and rookie wide receivers?
Well, I felt good. I felt good about I felt more confident in the Bills because when we talked about the Bills last week, we were like, I don't know. Like, yes, they should be a playoff team, but I don't know. And then you kind of saw them pull it together, eke out a win. The Cardinals, I think the reason why we said this team's going to be a playoff contender is because you're like, oh, they got Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray's back. Marvin Harrison Jr., who I put in over Jaden Reed, got 1.4 fantasy points for me. Patty, I lost to Patty's Baddies. Technically, I have a 1% chance to win. We're recording this on Monday morning. Patty's going to win this game.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
I put in a guy that got 1.4 fantasy points over someone that got 33 points on my bench.
He's a rookie though, and that's my other point about Arizona is because when Marvin Harrison figures it out, like that was a welcome to the NFL moment. Like Marvin Harrison, I think is going to understand like, okay, like I gotta really like study these guys and figure out these coverage. Like it's more than just like in college, a lot of it is like one-on-one talent, right? And it's like I'm way better than you.
And like you get to play. There's so many more college football teams than there are NFL teams.
Right.
You are going to go against in the NFL, like everyone's in the NFL.
Yeah.
In college, guys are going to go be theafter that. Nothing against accountants, but like they're not going to play professional football.
Exactly.
So
and so because Devontae Adams is a prime example where he talks about people talk about how Devontae Adams sounds like a quarterback when he talks about like defenses. Yeah. And I think Marvin Harrison's going to have to take some time to really look at like, what are you guys trying to do here?
I don't want to drop him yet, but he will be on my bench this week. Like I want to I have to hang on to him.
And I think that's
because I drafted him so high. Yeah. Not like so, but first 5 rounds. Yeah. So I have to I'm stuck.
That's the risk you run with It's very boom or bust with rookie wide receivers.
Here's a game that made me look really smart, I thought, because I was not confident in the Falcons and Kirk Cousins, and the Steelers won 18-10, and the Steelers, I don't think are a good team.
They didn't score a touchdown.
They kicked.
Whoever had Boswell, more power to you, man. Like that, he might have won you your week there.
18-10.
Everybody's talking about too, like they started Justin Fields because Russell Wilson had a calf injury, but he fully dressed for the game, but it was listed as an active. So even if he was like I'm an emergency quarterback or whatever, it's like the most Russell Wilson thing you could possibly do, but fully suited up on the sideline.
Yeah. So are you in or are you not in?
I don't understand. Yeah.
If you're not in, then don't dress up.
Yeah.
Then sit in the box and eat popcorn.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, that was interesting. Kirk Cousins TJ Watt ruined his day. TJ Watt. And it's so funny because the coach was like, TJ Watt's a game wrecker, and that's my game plan. I'm not going to allow TJ Watt to wreck the game.
By the way, Chris Boswell, 26 points
Yeah.
in fantasy this week, and no one had him in our work league. So now I don't know if you can expect him to put up 26 points every week, but
I mean, Carl's kicker put up 21 on me.
Okay, so here's another game where I had a crazy stat that it didn't necessarily win me the game because on your advice, I chose to put in Jaden Reed at the last minute when T. Higgins went out. Mm-hmm. And I did that for our sleeper league where we're in with a bunch of the True North recovery guys. I did not do that in our work league, which bit me. Yeah. But not only did I have Jaden Reed put up 35 points, I also had the Chicago defense get me 32 points in fantasy, which I have never seen before. I've never had a defense put up that many points or like have a defense put up that many points against me. 32 points for the Bears, which I subbed in at the last minute. I dropped my defense because I was like, oh man, my opponent went to Cincinnati's defense. Like my defense is only projected for 6. I'm just gonna roll with it. Like I'll get a new defense every week. And then my defense put up 32 points.
Yeah. Which like the other interesting part to that is Caleb Williams,
who
looked like a rookie,
was on my bench, which was good, but who I drafted as QB2, which is bad.
Yeah. So he put up, I think, less than 100 yards throwing. And he overthrew Keenan Allen a couple times. He tried to do what I was talking about, like where he's just like trying to do too much. He's scrambling around.
Are you ready for a stat line?
Yeah.
14 for 29, below 50% throwing, 93 yards.
Yeah. Defense bailed him out.
Quarterback rating at 22.
Defense bailed him out. I don't think.
But the Titans choked. If you're up 17 to nothing, you have to find a way to win that game.
Will Levis looked amazing in the first half, and then he looked like he had utmost confidence, and then he faded super hard.
19 for 32, a quarterback rating of 31.
Yeah.
Which wasn't the worst quarterback, still was the best quarterback rating in that game. But you're up 17-3 at half, and the Bears got 21 points unanswered in the second half to win the game.
Can't happen.
The Bears squeak one out.
Yeah. Interesting stuff in Miami. Tyreek
Hill's getting detained
right before the game.
And then they beat the Jaguars still, and he gets an 80-yard TD.
Yeah, and he does the handcuff celebration.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he did
I saw the stat line.
In the end zone. Sure did. What was interesting about that game is so I talked about it with Miami, and it looks like it's going to be same old Miami. So once they play a playoff team, they shrink, and Jacksonville is a lower tier playoff team. Yeah. And Tua looked awful.
Yeah.
He figured it out towards the end. But I mean, like they didn't look good. One game that surprised me was Indy versus Houston.
Yeah, okay, so do we want to talk about the actual good football games that happened now that we're done laughing at all the memes? Okay. This was really, really cool. Really, really cool game, and I didn't get to watch any of it because I was doing soccer. I was playing soccer. I had the Seahawks game recorded so that I could watch that, but I didn't have a chance to watch this
I watched some of it. CJ Stroud, still as advertised. Mm-hmm. Really hard to pick who's going to be the number one wide receiver there because you can just see, like, he's making his reads. He's hitting the wide open guy. Like, he's not the guy that's going to force feed anybody targets. Anthony Richardson has a freaking cannon, dude. Yeah. Holy cow. Mm-hmm. Like, dude was chucking up accurate, like, 50-yard bombs.
9 for 19, but 212 yards with 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, a QB rating of 87.
Yeah. He looked really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And they
and I feel like a dummy because I faded on him a lot.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he's available, but I think rosters open up on Tuesday, right, to start making moves. You can waiver someone conditionally now. Yeah. But if Anthony Richardson is undrafted in your fantasy league,
there's no way.
And you've got Jordan Love on the bench right now, and you can IR him and pick up Anthony Richardson, that might be a good option. I feel good. I have CJ Stroud on both.
I wouldn't be mad
two of my fantasy teams.
I wouldn't be mad if you put like a trade package together for an Anthony Richardson. Mm-hmm. I think he could be a league winner. I mean, his hybrid playability, as well as his big playability is a lot bigger than I thought. One of my things was I just don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy. He takes some hits, and he does still have some inaccuracy. There was a couple wide open throws that he overthrew by like 10 or 15 yards.
Yeah, and that's going to happen. He's, yeah.
So like there was a crazy stat. Somebody was telling me that he has only started like 18 games.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Stephon Diggs only,
but he had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. 6 receptions for 33 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns. See, that's what I'm talking about. So, and then Nico Collins has 5 receptions for like 117 yards.
Yeah, 6 for 117, 0 touchdowns.
0 touchdowns.
So if you get Stephon Diggs, you're looking better than Nico Collins.
So he's just, like I said, CJ Stroud, it's really scary to, like, it's a crapshoot to start any of those wide receivers because you just don't know who's going to be hot that day. Baker Mayfield looked
sitting on my bench. I didn't need him in our 2 QB league, luckily, but
he looked phenomenal.
I like Baker Mayfield a lot. Yeah. And he had that season with the Browns where they played him injured and his stock went down, and then he turned it around in Tampa Bay, and I still feel like people were sleeping on Baker Mayfield, but that's why I picked the Bucs to win the NFC South. I don't think it's a particularly strong division. If the Saints play like they did, if they can repeat that performance against the Panthers, they'll give them a run for their money. But the Bucs look good, and the Commanders aren't a playoff team, but they're not bottom feeders necessarily.
I think they're going to make it tough on some teams. They'll have some close wins. I think they'll win like 6 games. But I mean, I think the big takeaway from this week was like rookies look like rookies. Mm-hmm. And the teams that looked great still look like they're looking for a time on task.
Yeah.
A lot of, penalties this week, a lot of turnovers this week, defensive look.
Illegal formation.
Whole lot of that.
That was Thursday night. That was a good game. Yeah. And that feels like forever ago now, but the Ravens lost by half an inch by a big toe. But that was a good start.
And Giants will be absolutely awful.
Giants are going to be bad. Friday night we live streamed. So if you haven't watched that, go watch. You can watch the whole thing, our reaction to it. Obviously kind of a sad end, although it sounds like sad. Jordan Love isn't going to be gone for that long. They're saying no tears, no surgery, so they're hoping like
but it's gonna
3
be
to 6 weeks.
Yeah, the scary part though is like you're going to take time off and it's going to be so easy to re-aggravate.
Yeah, 100%. But their schedule is paper thin coming up. Yep. It's about as good of a schedule as you can hope for if your starting QB is going to be out. Yep. And the Eagles, after having a miserable first quarter, figured it out.
Yeah, they look good. They look good.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley.
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold?
Yeah. Look up his stats, dude. He looked good. I mean, I think
that passing on Justin Jefferson kind of makes me look foolish.
He only had 15 fantasy points this week.
Yeah, but like, I mean, my wide receiver core is
Sam
pathetic.
Darnold started the game 12 for 12. Mm-hmm. He ended the game 19 for 24, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw an interception, but had a rating of 113. I think the Vikings are going to be just fine. Aaron Jones also, who a lot of people faded on.
Yeah.
14 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown.
Tough division. We'll see how the Bears look next week because the Bears, and we'll see how the Packers survive not having their starting quarterback.
Right.
Because the Vikings could make a run here if they can repeat that. Anything else you want to talk about before we get into our teams this week?
Yeah, let's do
really quick on my teams. The Mariners had Logan Gilbert pitch a complete game. He pitched every single pitch for the Seattle Mariners, and they lost 2-0 because their offense is pathetic. Sell the team. Sell the team to someone that actually wants to spend money and replace all these bum hitters. Please, I'm begging you. I have never seen my baseball team in a World Series. This is akin to domestic violence. Stop it. Stop it. So anyway, I was excited to watch the Seahawks make me forget about the Seattle Mariners, and their first 3 plays were sack for 7 yards, interception, offensive penalty for negative 10 yards.
It was really bad.
I was about to pull my hair out.
Yeah.
They gave up 4 points in safeties, And we're down after the first half to the Denver Broncos, starting a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Our defense was
Lights out.
balling out.
They got me like 19
And then
points.
the second half started, and we made one simple change. It was called, hey, maybe we'll just let Kenneth Walker run the football. I was like, oh, it's a great idea.
Yeah.
And then
Gino looks rattled.
we went. Well, Gino did run for a 34-yard touchdown in the first half.
Yeah, he started the game shaky, though.
In the second half, the wheels started to get turning, and then in the second half, we figured it out. DK was locked up all night. All afternoon. I should have listened to you about leaving him on the bench because the only good news was, and what the Seahawks figured out, was that Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba were going to be open on shorter routes because DK was pulling the Broncos' number one corner and a safety to him every single play. And so when they passed, they made incremental passes, got down the field, and then they just let their running backs do their job.
Here's my problem with DK, right? Is DK doesn't normally win right off the line of scrimmage. DK has made a name on like just mossing people and winning those 50-50s. But the thing is he has Geno Smith as a quarterback. And that's not a bad thing, but the thing is that Geno doesn't want to force 50-50s because Geno understands that if he starts playing terribly, there's guys nipping at his heels and the organization will move on because he's not a household name.
Right.
And so I think it makes it hard for DK to be fantasy relevant when he doesn't have like somebody like a Kirk Cousins or, even like a Matt Stafford or
you saw him
Goff.
put up big numbers in games last year though. He's a boomer bust fantasy pick because he is capable of putting up like hat trick games.
Yeah.
It all depends on the defense and it depends on how confident Geno Smith is feeling that day. We've seen him succeed with Geno Smith as a quarterback. And I think DK is going to be a better second half of the season player because I think that if the top coverage stays on him, from what I saw yesterday, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is settling in very nicely to this wideout room. I think Tyler Lockett still was reliable in the clutch, got that last 3rd and 6 and got across the line to gain for the game-ending first down.
Yeah.
I think it's okay that DK didn't put up big numbers in the first half. Kenneth Walker, please just stay healthy this year.
Yeah.
Because he looked unbelievable. And then when he's doing well, it allows Zach Charbonnet to just scorch defenses like he did on that last TD. I mean, that was the easiest touchdown that Geno Smith is going to have all season.
Yeah, for sure.
So the second half, I think, is exactly what the Seahawks offense needs to do. If their defense plays like that, and again, rookie QB, it's week 1. I don't want to overreact, but I said the Seahawks could be a playoff team this year. If their defense just plays how they did, and their offense just focuses on not making mistakes. Because you gave the Broncos 4 points in safeties. You gave them 3 more and a field goal off that interception. You basically gave the Broncos 7 points. The only reason you didn't give them 11 is because your defense played lights out.
Yeah.
So just don't make stupid mistakes and stop taking penalties all the time.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's a great win.
Yeah. So here's the problem though, is like when they're going against a team that does not have a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
And isn't going to start fading because, that's typically what happens with rookie quarterbacks. It's going to be interesting to see if that defense can hold because that is exactly what happened to the Raiders.
The Chargers, Brian?
Oh, man. So,
the Chargers? I thought this defense was supposed to be good, Brian.
No, so on the box score, the defense looks terrible, right? However, the defense was not
Well, it's hard to win a game when you only score 10 points.
Exactly, and that's the rub here is right is so the defense played very well the first 3 quarters, right? They only allowed the Chargers 3 points in the first, 3 points in the second, 3 points in the third, and then they got
damn broke.
Well, so here's the deal though. Like when your offense is consistently not holding onto the ball, every single time they would get over the 50-yard line, chaos ensued. And it was just like, oh, hey. And you could tell, like, that is the problem with them having a quarterback battle this year, is that Gardner Minshew is not completely comfortable. They're trying to do a hurry up 2-minute drill. He gets everybody to the line, snaps the ball. He goes to throw because he thinks that he called like a quick screen. There's nobody there because that's not what anybody has been communicated. Mm-hmm. And he tries to tuck it back, but he can't, and so he fumbles. This speaks to how well the Raiders defense did, because we gave them the ball at like the 40-yard line.
Right.
And they held him to 3 points.
It was he was still 25 for 33.
Yeah.
But he had a QB rating of 29 points.
We had like 3 turnovers. So then he throws an interception. Zamir White fumbles. Like, every time we got over the 50-yard line, we started getting moving. All of a sudden, like, it just, like, the Raiders beat themselves in typical Raider fashion. And it is sickening and just so...
Khalil Mack recovered a fumble. How does that make you feel?
I never want him to be traded. Like, that was the most... that's like trading Max Crosby. Like, why would you trade Khalil Mack? But that Khalil Mack trade did get us Josh Jacobs and...
Oh, does he play for the Raiders?
He does not anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But... So, like, I have, like, concerns. Because,
I'd be concerned.
Again, we don't have, like... We have a defense, but the defense is not going to consistently play well if they're on the field and asked to do these things repeatedly. Antonio Pierce had some questionable decisions. He goes for it very early on 4th and 1 at the 50. They only give up 3 points there, but still it's like, man, I don't know if we should have done that. The defense was playing really well at that point. And then 4th quarter, 7 minutes to go, we're down by 6. Mm-hmm. 4th and 1, same situation, punts the ball. J.K. Dobbins rips like a crazy freaking 50-yard run, and then that's the game.
And the Chargers are supposed to be your free space in your divisional games.
I don't know if they're supposed to be the free space. Like, you still have a top 10 quarterback. So anytime you have a top 10 quarterback, like, you're going to be competitive.
Well, if the Raiders want to be a playoff team, I don't think either of us had them as a playoff team.
No.
We thought they were going to be competitive. They still could. It's week 1.
Right.
But
I mean, they play you play Baltimore next week. So like, if you can't put up points against the Chargers, who's like a totally like trying to rebuild this culture, all these things, like, you're going to have a hell of a time against Baltimore, who's been doing it for years and years and years and years.
You know you're not going to be first in the division because the Chiefs are. So you know that you have to be number 2 to try to compete for a wild card spot, and that means you have to beat the Chargers and the Broncos.
Yeah.
And
the only way they beat Baltimore next week is if they keep Lamar off the field.
Yeah.
And that's clearly not going to happen. And so, I was really hopeful until about like once the 3rd quarter hit and we were still just like scrambling around on offense. Like, we were still holding our own, and then we started scrambling around on offense. Carlson missed a field goal. Like, we just beat ourselves, and it was like, I don't have a whole lot more to say because it's just like, it's same old Raiders.
Next week's a new week, though. Next week's a new week.
Not for the Raiders. We've been saying that for years, decades, and
I mean, I believe that, but I was just trying to make you feel better.
Yeah, thanks, but it's not.
Okay,
it doesn't.
Cool. Did you watch Sunday Night Football last night?
I loved. Yeah,
that was a great game.
Yeah,
it was unfortunate that the Rams. That's okay because the second half was much more interesting. It was unfortunate that the Rams defense had to be out there in a high leverage situation, and then they lost the coin toss, and they just had nothing left.
Do you remember? Where I drafted Cooper Kupp? Do you remember that?
Which league are we talking about? Are we talking about the work league?
I mean, I pretty much drafted him in like all my leagues. But do we want to roll that back this is where you put the clip, Cooper Kupp steal of the draft in the 5th round.
Oh,
Do you know?
I know I drafted Puka Nacua before that. And
Oh, he went down, too.
It's not his fault he got injured, but oh my gosh.
Which was bound to happen with his usage. He came in banged up. Like, it was the perfect storm for Cooper Kupp to come back in and assert his dominance as the wide receiver one.
I can't. Was it actually the 5th round?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm pretty sure I drafted.
And
Marvin
I think
Harrison
I got him in the
before
5th
that,
round
too.
in both leagues. I got him in the 5th round in the sleeper league as
Oh
well.
my gosh.
And he
My heart.
he put up 30 points.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He looked so good.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
He looked so good. But the Lions won. Seahawks, top of the division.
yeah, they
Unless the
did
Niners win tonight.
So the thing with the Rams is their running game looked very shaky, but you know, at the end of the day, like Detroit has a stingy defense, and they have a very good defensive line, and so that wasn't like super surprising. Like I would have like faded a little bit on Kyren Williams. Stafford still looked like Stafford, right? I think he had pressure in his face almost all game, especially in the second half.
Man, Hutchinson was
Just
not getting stopped.
dude.
He was in his face every single play.
Every single play. And so, I mean, he still threw it for 317 yards. He threw a touchdown. It was only sacked twice for how much they were in his face. So, like, I'm not super worried. Cooper Kupp.
It was a fun game. The Rams will bounce back.
14 receptions for 110 yards and a touchdown.
And this, kids, is why you do your research, like Brian, on this pick.
Yeah.
And you just don't trust the projections.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how ESPN had him falling that far down.
Yeah.
They had Nacua picked over him, and I was like, well, Cooper Kupp's coming off an injury, so I'll go Puka Nacua.
Yeah, I mean,
now I got to IR him.
So this is the other thing too, is like, I mean, they had me as a B grade draft, right? And I think I was projected for 6th. I have the highest point total of week 1.
How'd your quarterbacks do in the sleeper league, in our 2-quarterback league?
I mean, not the greatest, but they didn't do the worst either.
True enough.
You know what I mean? So like they still gave me like average quarterback play. Kyler Murray would have had more if Marvin Harrison Jr. would have, and he will once Marvin Harrison Jr. gets more involved. But yeah, I mean which is a lower scoring league.
Mm-hmm.
I put up 160 points.
Checking in on the fantasy league before we go. You crushed Kitty's of Vengeance this week.
Crushed it.
Man, I thought Julia was going to beat Jay, and I was going to laugh.
Yeah.
But then Jay is like 30 points up with one player to play, and is projected to win by 18, depending on how Monday Night Football shakes out tonight.
She does have Christian McCaffrey.
Well, here's the problem. She had Puka Nacua. Same.
Oof.
Same. And she had Drake London, and the Falcons sucked.
They sure did.
Unfortunate.
They sure did.
Jay's going to win that game. And I got blown out by Patty. It was a 99% chance to win.
Patty's baddies.
Next week's a new week for our fantasy teams, too. That's going to do it. Even when we're rooting against each other, sports bring us together. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week on To the House.
To the House.